So throughout my time in the film and photography industry, I've definitely gone through my fair share of lenses, whether it be the native Sony lenses or it be third-party lenses for the E-mount system. But for some reason, I keep coming back to the same lens time and time again. Let's talk about the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 lens for the E-mount system and why I truly believe that it is the greatest lens that you can buy for a Sony camera. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here or don't know who I am, my name is Jorva. I'm a creator that lives and works here in London, UK. So as the title suggests, I just want to go through the Sigma 24-70 E-mount lens and why I think it's the only lens you'll ever need. I've used this lens on countless shoots and taken it into pretty much any situation, and it's always been able to hold up compared to my other lenses. I've definitely gained some valuable insights throughout my time with this lens, both positive and negative. So let's kick off this discussion. Going into the deep dive of the lens now, I think the most important thing about this lens is just its versatility. This lens is just literally a powerhouse and it goes through any situation that you put it in, whether it be punched out in the 24mm range and capturing landscapes, or moving into the 70mm range, which is perfect for city scenarios and even a little bit of wildlife photography. And then of course you do have all of the range in between to pretty much have you sorted for any situation. The best thing about the lens, however, is just that ability to only need one lens when you're traveling and going out and not having to carry loads of separate lenses. And of course people would argue that prime lenses may be better. The thing is, if you're especially a beginner, or if you're someone who just doesn't want to carry all those lenses, then this lens, the Sigma 24-70, is a great option for you. Now this lens and camera system fits perfectly into my backpack. That's why it's really easy to take with me on the go. And the good thing is that you're not really compromising in image quality, which we'll talk about next, but you have a great quality lens in a small package. Delving into the heart of this lens now, and the Sigma 24-70 2.8 has definitely far surpassed my expectations in every single situation that I've put it in. The sharpness that I can get in each single shot, whether it be photography or video, is just amazing, and it's so nice having to not keep switching lenses and having that same image quality that you can get from prime lenses. The colours are vibrant and true to life. It has so much detail in the actual images and video that it produces, and just overall the image quality is exceptional. I will overlay some sample pictures on the screen now for you to judge for yourself, and I will also put a comparison of the other lens and give you some time to guess which one you think is the more expensive lens. And piggybacking off the image quality point, when you're in a night situation, the 2.8 is really good to capture that detail. Now obviously in a prime lens you are able to go down to 1.4 or 1.2, letting in more light and creating more detailed images in the night, but this lens still can produce that, and I know 2.8 isn't the lowest, but it still gets a job done without having to switch lenses. I think the biggest thing that I haven't really seen people talk about a lot on the internet, I know it's been mentioned, but the biggest plus point about this lens for me is just the autofocus, and it has incredible autofocus capabilities, even beating Sony in some cases. It's super fast, the autofocus, it's reliable, it hits the money each single time. You know, if I'm out of the shot and then I go back in the shot, or if I want to select a specific area of my image I'm taking a picture of, it just hits it every single time, and I never have any issues with the autofocus. And I know that beginners as well, although it is an expensive lens, if a beginner was to get this, it just makes photography so easy and it makes videography a pleasure to shoot. Delving into the autofocus and videography components and looking at them in a bit of a deeper understanding, if you're someone who does commercial shoots, that autofocus capability is literally priceless. And I think Sony is guilty of it as well, but when these lens companies are charging an arm and a leg, upwards of £2,000 in some cases, how can you have a lens like this, which is significantly cheaper than some of the most expensive lenses, having perfect autofocus? It just doesn't make sense to buy a more expensive lens. And with that autofocus, it enables you to unleash your creativity and do different types of shoots that you probably wouldn't have ever done if you didn't have a good lens. And that's where your creativity really shines through because of how good this autofocus on the lens is. I think the main reason why the price is, I wouldn't say so little, because it is actually expensive as well, but comparing to the other lenses, if the performance is so accurate, why is the price so less? the main reason for me is just the build of the lens itself. It's not to say that it's not a lens which is robust and well made and has cheap quality, because those things it definitely is not. I think it has amazing build quality, amazing materials, and even in situations where I've been traveling and you know, putting my bag down and stuff and knocking the lens a few times, it's been solid. The reason why I'm talking about the physical build is just the weight of the lens, and it is just a little bit bigger compared to native Sony lenses. Although it is built very well and very big and gives me confidence that it's not going to break anytime soon, the weight can be a significant factor as to why sometimes you may not want to pull out your camera. I know when I recently went on holiday, I took my camera in my bag, and you know, at the end of the day my back was hurting, and in those scenarios the next day I would think, well, is it worth taking my camera? Now for me anyway, I would always take my camera, so it wasn't a big deal for me. But I know that someone who may not be used to like a heavier lens, especially with a heavier full frame camera, might just not bother taking their camera with them, which defeats the purpose of photography and filmmaking. Then obviously in terms of the weight and the build of it as well, if you're someone who does commercial shoots, you may find that a bit more annoying than someone who is just an everyday shooter. Because if someone is just taking out the camera here and there and just needs one lens that will just, you know, never come off the camera, then obviously they might not have an issue. But if you're a commercial shooter who needs to put your camera on a gimbal or something, then obviously the significant weight will sort of make that gimbal hard to balance, and you may be limited in terms of gear that you can buy to make sure that your gear can withstand the extra weight of the camera. Let's talk about some of its competitors now, and I know obviously a lot of people are going to talk about the two lenses that Sony have, which are both 24-70 One is a Mark 1 and one is a Mark 2. Now, in my opinion, I wouldn't buy them just because of the price. I think if you're going to rank these lenses, and we'll include the Tamron as well, 28-70, if you're going to rank them from worst to best, my personal opinion would be the Tamron would be last, just because 28 can be a little bit too punched in. And when you're shooting landscapes or something and you want just that little bit extra length, then obviously 28 may not be cutting it for you. So I think that the Tamron 28-75 will definitely be my least favorite. I would probably go to the Sony Mark 1, and then I would go to the Sigma, and then I would go to the Sony Mark 2 being the best. Now the reason why I would put the Mark 1 lower than the Sigma is because the Sigma, in my opinion, the autofocus just far outshines the Mark 1, and I think a lot of creators and a lot of people who have used both lenses would be able to tell you. I have used that lens, and personally I think the Sigma outshines it in pretty much every single aspect. The only thing that Mark 1 does have over the Sigma is the weight, but to be honest, for the difference in quality between the two, I would definitely pick the Sigma and the heavyweight just for the better quality. The reason why I put that then second in terms of having the Sony Mark II as number 1 is just because of the weight. And I do think that for both of the lenses, if I was to hand you two images of one shot by a Sigma and one shot by a Sony, I don't even think you would be able to tell the difference, especially the normal average everyday person who's just looking at photos. I don't think that they'll be able to tell a difference. I think it's definitely safe to say that this will be staying in my kit without a doubt. Maybe I will add a prime like I said, but for the most, I'm probably just going to be using this lens. Let's wrap up this video now and conclude by saying that if you liked it, hit the like button down below. Leave a few comments as well if you have any other suggestions, any lenses that you particularly like or dislike. That being said, thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in my next one.